Cool. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for joining us. So this is Charlotte Nichols from Harvey and Hugo PR, and it's lovely of you to join us. Thank you so much. And could you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and the services that you offer, first of all?
Yes, so I am the owner of Harvey and Hugo. It's a PR and content marketing social media business. It's been running, it was 16 years next Thursday, no, Wednesday, in fact. So it's been a long time. But yeah, ultimately, we amplify voices.
Amazing. So happy business birthday to you, just
Thank
like
you.
Jessica as well. So we've got all the business birthdays today. It's lovely.
That time of year.
It is. All the summer birthdays, all the best people, summer birthdays. Yeah, fabulous. So can you tell us a little bit more about PR and like what's the actual value of it for your business?
For me, it's the trust and credibility element. So no one can buy products or services from you if they don't know about you, but no one will buy from you if you don't have that trusted reputation.
Yeah. Okay. And so in terms of how you got into this, like what's been your journey so far?
So after university, I worked in the leisure industry for a year, and then I worked in a PR agency for a couple of years. And I just wanted to do something on my own. It was in the depths of the recession in 2009. And I had this idea of a more flexible PR offering with the pay-as-you-go services or pay-as-Hugo. So, yeah, it suited the market at the time. Obviously, we still do a lot more kind of retained monthly services now, but people still enjoy that flexibility. And yeah, so that was 16 years ago. It's been an up and down journey. Nothing's ever linear in business. Thank you. So yeah, just kind of grown slowly, gradually over the years, expanded service offering. There's been a lot of change in the media, the PR sectors. Social media was just emerging as a business tool when we started. Now it's, back then it was just a little tweet, a few pieces of text that went on a social post, and now it needs to be multimedia, video. So obviously we've expanded into those services as we've grown, and we've needed really skilled professionals to help carry that out.
Yeah, so you're doing like video production and stuff now as well, aren't you?
Yes, and podcasting as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, and of course you're a podcast host, so you're not used to being in the hot seat so much now, though.
No, I'm so much more uncomfortable in this seat. I just want to get into your seat and ask the questions.
Oh, well, it's lovely to have you on, though. So tell us a bit more. You mentioned there about building trust. So expertise, authority and trust, you talk about that a lot. What is the real value of that? What's the importance of it?
So, yeah, there's just so much noise out there at the minute. It's wonderful that we all have our own media platforms that we can use, but everyone now has a voice. Everyone's kind of shouting. And now with the emergence of AI, there's just so much content being shared. And there's also people sharing similar things. Now, I think you have to be really authentic and true to yourself, share what you believe in, which is really difficult at this time because I was at a conference yesterday and it was about crisis communications. And almost there's a lot of people out there that are too afraid to express their values and their purpose and what they really believe in. But I think that's a way you can stand out. I think opinion pieces, thought leadership articles, they're critical in kind of demonstrating that expertise, speaking opportunities, podcasting, particularly, I think more and more so in real life. Again, as AI converts podcasts from like a word that someone said, I think people want to find the real content rather than something that is just, artificial, which is essentially what it is. So it's never been more important. The thing that's really troubling people at the minute with AI, with a lot of things, is misinformation.
Right.
And so, people want to know it's actually you, it's actually trusted, it's your voice. I think more and more face-to-face events as well, really important.
Yeah, because there's been quite high-profile examples, hasn't there, of misinformation, misrepresentation, and obviously it is quite a worry. So as you say, yeah, a bit more about that authenticity. And in terms of provoking emotion as well, because that's the other thing that sets humans away from AI as well. Could you talk to us a little bit more about getting the right balance between your professionalism and like the oversharing and sort of being a bit too out there to an uncomfortable degree?
Yeah, and it is a fine line. I think it is very important that you come across as human. To do that, you need to kind of put your face above the parapet, and you have to be real. There's you see spokespeople where they're kind of scripted, they're very kind of quite stern, a bit stiff, and I think you just have to be yourself and be true to yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to share what you've had for tea every night, and I think that example is probably really overused now from back in the day on social media, but it is nice that you get a little bit of an insight into what someone likes to do after work, what motivates them, why they're doing what they do. That was a reason for my first podcast, the personal podcast, because it doesn't allow any business promotion. You just talk about your personal journey. But actually, the guests on there have found that people are more likely to work with them after figuring out what they like to do personally. They're like, oh, I've been through that, or I have that, or it'd be great to work with you, because the level of skill that we're operating at generally is pretty high. I think, if you look at a PR agency, for example, it's your personality that's going to be the differentiating factor. Like it's who you are, it's your values that make you a little bit different. So they have to be conveyed.
Yeah, and it's that whole thing again of people buy from people, isn't it? And and never more so than now.
I know, and just being a little bit compassionate and showing empathy, I think that's really important. It can be so easy to just be drained of that in this fast-paced world that we're living in, and just, almost see social media in particular as a checklist. Right, I've got to get 5 tweets out. No, it's not even called tweets anymore. 5 social media posts out today. I've got to do a TikTok. I've got to do this. And it's like, well, why don't you just take the time, just do one of them, but do something that's really meaningful to your audience.
Yeah.
Something with a bit more feeling, a bit more understanding.
Yeah.
Final exhibitors, please come and get your packed lunches. There's not a lot left now if you want to come and get yours.
Sorry about that interruption. So in terms of let me have a think, where are we going with this? So when we were talking there about authenticity, you were saying that sometimes people are a little bit reluctant. What steps can they take to feel a little bit more comfortable being authentic and actually sharing those opinions without that fear of somebody jumping on a social post and, trolling and that sort of thing? Like, any advice for people?
Yeah, the first piece of advice I'd say is to know yourself, know your purpose, know the business's purpose, know your values, because that's going to set the foundation for your behaviour. And obviously have everything written out in the kind of the brand story, in terms of if it is a brand, even your personal brand, what really matters to you. It's sometimes easier to figure out what you don't like as values, and then reverse it. And then almost have some sort of strategic approach to it in terms of your story, like who needs to hear it, what platform do they need to hear it on, like why do they need to hear it, what are key messages that's important to you. And then always assessing the risks of what you're about to say or a statement you're going to make. How would this be perceived? I always like to think of it as hats. So put on a hat of X target market, put on a hat of the other target market, put on a hat of a colleague, and just think, well, how is each one of those audiences going to perceive that? Could there be any scope? Could they be offended? Is there a particular reason? Definitely you don't want to be sharing anything that's hateful, even if it is something that you really believe in, because that's not right. But yeah, it's about considering the risks, carefully structuring the language that you're going to use, and owning it too. You can't keep everybody happy with what you're saying. I think it's Voltaire that said that, I might not believe in what you're saying, but I believe you have the right to say it. And just acknowledging that. I think sometimes where we're being a bit too human at the moment is just saying, no, this is what I believe, therefore everyone should believe that. Just accepting that we're all different. It's actually quite nice that we're different and we have different opinions. Being able to voice, I don't believe in what you're saying, but I believe that you could say it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice distinction. And just to pick it up on your personal journey there as well, you mentioned about a brand story. And I know that you use in your brand story about how you've come from being very shy to now being, a podcast host, a CEO, or, a managing director. And, and you do a lot of stage work as well now, don't you? So what's been that journey? Like, how did you get to overcome some of that shyness and the fear of speaking up?
Yeah, I think it's just because I hated it so much, not being able to do it. I always I felt I had good things to say, but I just could never get the words out, which was so infuriating. And since sharing my story, which I felt really vulnerable doing that, because again, as a business owner, particularly in PR, I feel you have to have that perception that you're confident, you're outspoken. But a lot of people have said to me, you know, I felt the same. And I think even now, as like doing loads of podcasts, I get a little bit nervous doing things like this and doing a seminar later. So I think it was almost that I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it, because I always enjoyed it. It was just so terrifying to kind of get the words out. And I think that's why it's so important for us and why we're on that mission to help our clients share their voice, because it's important, you know, and this sounds really cheesy, but it could change the world. You know, we have amazing clients doing amazing things, and even if it just affected one person, that's one person's world. So it's important.
So tell us more about some of your clients then. So, you know, maybe you can just pick one or two, you know, where PR has made a big difference, maybe to them as a person, you know, as an individual, or, you know, to their bottom line as a business.
Yeah, definitely. It goes back to kind of where the information I shared when we started, that if nobody knows about them, they can't really help. But then it's been known for the right things and perceived in the right way. We have a meat-free company called Myco, and they are fantastically environmental. It's more about the environment than a kind of a food choice. So it was very important to us that we didn't alienate meat eaters. So it was about getting the perception and the reputation right. And sometimes these changes that we make for clients, they're in the mindsets of their customers. So it's very difficult to measure. But, you know, down the line, you know, it's a long-term thing, PR, because of that. But down the line, they're finding that, you know, they're working with a lot of meat producers actually to add their products into, you know, sometimes 50-50. Again, because it's not about increasing more vegetarians or veganism. It's about saving the planet. So it's about kind of getting that message out there, not alienating customers. And then there's businesses where we've directly increased clients coming to them because their target audience didn't know what they did. And so once we've communicated that to the media, and don't get me wrong, it is a more long-term effect. They see the news stories, it filters into their minds. They actually, we could benefit from that. Case studies are a fantastic thing for that, particularly if you've got a really niche audience or a variety of different audiences, showing how it's worked for that sector, that customer, getting them to perhaps go on video, talk about the success of a campaign. That adds so much more weight than the client just saying, oh, we are great users. If they're like, we use them, this is how it actually helped us, then it encourages more people to use them.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And so if somebody's never done PR at all before, how would you suggest that they get started? Like maybe some easy first steps into PR?
So I definitely think you need to know your brand. It might sound obvious, but know your purpose, know your values, know what you want to achieve with the campaign, who your target audience are. It all sounds really obvious, but sometimes people don't, and they dive in, and then, you know, it has to be a strategic approach. Think about key messages that you want to convey to your target audiences. Think about the media that your target audience read. Think about events that they attend. Think about awards that they think are prestigious. It's all about shifting your mindset to put it in the mind of the buyer. And then, yeah, sending out press releases, so long as you've got a newsworthy topic. Creating your own podcast could be an option. Attending events. Being brave and bold and asking for opportunities. I only got the speaking opportunity here because I asked if there was anything available. And don't get me wrong, I'm always a little bit nervous about doing that. And I know I'm creating work for myself, but you've got to be bold and ask for opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And so speaking of these opportunities, if people do want to come and have a chat with you on your stand, where do they find you, and what can they expect to find out from a chat with you?
Yeah, so we're at stand 30, which is really near the entrance, the main entrance.
Yep, so we're just over there.
Yeah, just over there. I'm also doing a seminar at 1:30, which is probably up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can help with anything. I'm more than happy to discuss problems that you're having or teething issues. If you're just looking to start a campaign, we can meet further for a coffee. We have got a really interesting promotional product on our stand. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, Okay, well, if you want to find out more about Charlotte and Harvey and Hugo, and you want to find out what this promotional product is, then go along and visit the stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.